south of the high school. In an emergency, like we had during that leak that where Seattle had to shut down their pipeline on Southeast 40th, we use what we call the emergency supply line. That's the 16-inch water main shown there in blue that goes down East Mercer Way. Some of our guys call it the Canyon Line because to get from East Mercer Way up to the neighborhood where the reservoir is, it goes through a pretty steep ravine. But that's our backup to fill the reservoirs. Our primary supply is that 24-inch size main. So the goals of this new supply line project is first to align the ownership and control with the responsibility. This has always been a little bit odd that the SPU owns and operates about a mile of water main on the island between the boat launch and the reservoir. So they're having to come over here and work on it because we can't go in there and do any maintenance on their pipe. So again, if we install a new pipeline that we own and operate, then we can control that better since we have the responsibility of providing the water. This is a big project. This is a generational investment in system resilience. This project is 50 years to 75 years of life expectancy, if not more. So this is going to serve multiple generations of Mercer Islanders. We're going to improve the resiliency and reliability by reducing the risk of vulnerable areas like where it goes now, which is up through that Southeast 40th right-of-way, which is a very steep and slide-prone section. Another goal is to upgrade Gallagher Hill. There's an existing asbestos cement water main in some of Gallagher Hill. As we've told you at past presentations with you folks, the city has a program to replace and retire all of the AC water mains within the city's water system in the next 6 years. We did a mile in 2024. That leaves us with about 4 miles left to get out of the system. And this work on Gallagher Hill will remove a little bit more of that. Gallagher Hill also gets roadway repaving and a new sidewalk and some new street lighting after the water mains are installed. Another goal is we abandoned part of this SPU supply line that's getting replaced, that area that's called Reach 3 there, the red line. That's the piece that goes up through Southeast 40th that they had the trouble with a couple of years ago. The city ownership is transferred to the city for that Reach 4 piece in kind of that magenta line there that runs up 92nd Avenue and turns and goes into the back of the reservoir. And another goal of the project is to improve how the Shorewood apartments receive their water. And I've got a more detailed slide about Shorewood here after a couple more slides.
Hey, Clint, can I ask a question?
Certainly.
And I need you to go back to the back slide for a minute. The Reach 3, we're going to abandon that? That's going to go, or it's abandoned?
We don't plan on using it to move any water because we will have that green line will be our new supply pipeline. So maybe
so
Jason.
What will happen to Reach 4? Is it connected to other water lines that I'm just not seeing here?
So Reach 4 is currently SPU pipeline. We're going to take over ownership of that. This new supply line that goes up Southeast 36th and Gallagher Hill and Southeast 40th is going to reconnect into the north end of what's called Reach 4.
Okay, I think I wasn't appreciating that there's going to be a new water pipe up Gallagher Hill, the green line.
Correct. The green line is all brand new. That That is not in the ground yet. The
Got
red
it.
and the purple or magenta, that's the existing path.
Right. Now I understand. Yeah, sorry, I was a little slow to the party. So thank
Oh
you.
no,
Uh, I'll
that's
just
fine.
I'll just add as well. So Reach 3 and Reach 4 are both current SPU assets. And so technically as we part of this new supply line project is to eliminate the SPU assets on the island, right? So Reach 3 will be in the end result will be the city assumes ownership of the SPU, the existing SPU assets, and then can decide what to do with those specific components. The original intention, the notion has always been to abandon the Reach 3 segment. I will put an asterisk there, and that is there's a section of it that runs down East Mercer Way that may be something that the city wants to valve off of or use part of it in the future. But the intent has always been the segment through Southeast 40th along that steep slope is to abandon that permanently. But
And
that
when
will
you
be at the end of the end of the process. Those will be city assets that we will be able to decide what to do with ultimately.
and
And oh, go ahead.
no, you finish, please. Go ahead.
So the green line up Gallagher Hill, that's going to be new water line, and is that the steepness of Gallagher Hill? I mean, I'm sure you guys have already thought this through all the way, but that's not an issue for you?
Go ahead, Clint.
No, the new 24-inch water main is going to be uh, buried within the roadbed of Gallagher Hill Road. We feel that is a stable place to install a new supply line.
Right, and the
Much more
access is
stable than
okay.
Southeast 40th right of way.
Okay, got
Right.
it.
So part of the challenge with the current Southeast 40th alignment is the limited access. So through that steep ravine, there is no access to that pipe. That's why SPU had to reline it. They couldn't access it to a traditional main repair when that leak occurred. So this will be new pipe within the existing roadway, which is accessible for crews.
Got it. Thank you very much.
And with respect to Reach 3, the portion that was going to be abandoned, including potentially the part on East Mercer Way that you may reserve or use for future purposes. It's a standard engineering practice that when you retire something like a big water pipe like that, it remains. You don't remove it, correct?
That's
Correct.
correct. It will remain in the ground,
Right,
uh, abandoned in place. We won't be pumping water through it.
right. Okay. Other questions, board members?
Um,
Dorothy, Geraldine.
Thank you. My question has to do with resiliency and redundancy and whether, as it is abandoned, if it is potentially reusable in the future, should there be a emergency with the green line, the line shown in green here.
It's a very good question. It's worthy of a discussion and consideration. Tonight's not the time to have that conversation. There's a lot of elements to it. There's a reason that we're proposing to abandon that pipe because of the steep slope, because of the proximity. I'll remind the board that there was a number of residents that had to do emergency evacuations when that leak occurred, given the steep slope and the concern about that pipe giving way in that circumstance. So certainly worth a conversation and discussion. I don't want to imply I know where the direction of the conversation would go, but there is something to be said that hey, there is that pipe was relined. It may be able to be utilized for something different down the road or in an emergency situation. But again, there's a lot more complexity and evaluation that would have to go into that conversation. I'm not prepared to have that conversation tonight. But good
Um,
question.
I can partially answer that. Let me back up here to this slide. Let me draw your attention to that blue 16-inch water main down East Mercer Way. That is our current emergency supply in the event there's trouble with the 24-inch line. And that's going to remain uh, as an emergency supply. So that blue line is our redundancy currently, and it will still be available after this new 24-inch pipe's installed.
Thank you. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, keep going, Clint.
Okay, thank you. Um, sorry, I forgot where I left off.
Next slide. Right there.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay. So let's get a little deeper into the water elements of this project. So let me draw your attention to that orange line that goes up Southeast 36th and Gallagher Hill Road and turns on 40th. That's about 5,000 feet of new 24-inch ductile iron restrained joint pipe. That's our pipeline. Other elements of this work, we're going to replace some AC pipe on Gallagher Hill Road itself, about 1,500 feet of that. Not only are we wanting to get rid of AC pipe in our system, but this AC pipe, some of it is directly in the way of the new 24-inch pipeline, so it has to be moved. As part of relocating and replacing that AC pipe, we're going to replace a pressure reducing valve station at the bottom of Gallagher Hill. Those two magenta circles, those are the new water main connections for Shorewood. And I've got a better slide of that here coming up. The SPU metering gets moved. It's currently where the yellow line on Southeast 40th and the red line intersect. There's a meter station there that SPU operates. That's going to get moved over to, if you see the green circle that says SPU master meter, we're moving that down near the boat launch as part of this project because that yellow line is the one that gets abandoned. Another element of this project is that there's a little brown circle at the bottom of the graphic there by Rotary Park. What we have found is there's some additional SPU metering equipment there, which actually chokes the water supply pipeline from 24 inches down to 12 inches.
What?
We're going to remove all that and upsize that choke point to 24 inch, which
It's
should
been
help
it's
with,
been it's been like that for forever, from 24 down to 12.
it has been like that for a long time. Yes.
And we did not that there's anything wrong, but we didn't know that. Is that correct?
Our guys knew about it.
Yeah.
I think it was done that way because maybe the meter could only be that large. Maybe 12 inch was a size limitation. So that metering won't be needed anymore. So we're going to remove it and, as I say, upsize that to match the rest of the supply main.
And is the new master meter location moving down to the boat ramp to essentially delineate that as soon as the connection comes ashore, it's our responsibility all the way up to the.
That's correct.
Okay.
Once the water goes through that SPU master meter, it's ours. It's our water. So that's going to be the new demarcation point between what's controlled by Seattle Public Utilities and what's owned and controlled by the city.
So it's clear, right? So I mean, essentially, there's a point of connection where they stop and we start
That's
for the
correct.
entirety of the island. Okay.
That's correct. And that current point is it's two locations. It's there where Shorewood taps at 40th and 92nd, and it's also behind the reservoir.
Okay.
So yes, moving that master meter falls in line with that, the ownership and control, and who works on what.
Okay.
So is it going to be right at the connection between the two lines that come across the lake? it shows in the diagram it splits, so it must be there then, I guess.
Um, the exact location of where the SPU master meter is going to go is still getting worked out a little bit. I think that green circle is actually going to move to the east a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's going to be a little ways down the road that takes you to the boat launch, but it will not be way down at the boat launch.
Okay.
There's some, as part of this work, SPU has, when this came about, they have a segment of pipe there that's a little bit older and age and infrastructure, and so there's better pipe material closer, as Clem referred, further east, and so he's right. This green circle moves slightly east, but still on the SPU side, just a little bit closer down to the shoreline. That's all. Again, opportunity for SPU to improve infrastructure in this project as well.
And when you're replacing the AC line on Gallagher Hill Road, you mean with the new 24-inch line, right? Or
We're
okay.
going to replace that 8-inch AC water main with a 10-inch ductile iron water
Oh, okay.
main. The reason we're doing that, the 24-inch supply line will not have any services on it.
Okay.
No lateral connections to other mains. It's only supplying water to the reservoir. Nothing is tapped off of it on the way.
Okay.
So there's to supply the homes on Gallagher and to create another intertie within the water distribution network. We're doing a 10-inch water main to replace that 8-inch. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Okay.
was wondering how you were going to do that. Tap off of the main line, and I'm glad to hear you're not going to be doing that. So that's good.
Yes. The goal is all water goes to the water reservoir before it is sent out to customers. Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to touch on the roadway aspect of this project. We feel this is about a 2-year effort. The first year is going to be in underground water main work. The second year is it's probably going to take us about a year to do the roadway improvements. We're going to resurface about 1 mile worth of arterials. Southeast 36th is going to get repaved. It's going to get a little bit of sidewalk upgrades as far as the curb ramps. Those will get reconstructed to meet the current standards. Gallagher Hill Road is going to get curb and sidewalk and some new street lighting on the downhill direction of travel. And on the uphill direction of travel on Gallagher Hill is going to be a bike lane. There's a paved shoulder there now, so that uphill side is going to look very similar, but the downhill direction will be a new sidewalk.
When
South.
when you're replacing or placing the water main, you're gonna be doing trenching, right? To do that, are you gonna be closing half the road and doing one-way traffic, or how is that gonna stagger?
Um, I was going to talk
Oh,
about that on a slide coming up.
sorry. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Southeast 40th from Gallagher Hill over to 92nd Avenue, or excuse me, 93rd Avenue. That's going to get new curbs, new sidewalks, bike lanes, some lighting upgrades. When that's finished, it's going to look the same as Southeast 40th west of Gallagher Hill.
Great.
You may remember 6 or 8 years ago, we did some work on Southeast 40th there in front of the swimming pool and Northwood Elementary, where we added curbs, sidewalks, and bike lanes. So that streetscape will extend from Gallagher east to 93rd.
That'll look great.
Shorewood Apartments. We talked about how they're going to get a new water supply. So, as strange it may sound, the Shorewood Apartments water, there's a meter at Southeast 40th and 92nd Avenue, and the Shorewood Apartment Complex gets their water directly from Seattle Public Utilities. They are not a Mercer Island customer. That water travels through the Madrona Crest neighborhood, that magenta line or pinkish line, and goes up to the Shorewood Apartments. That is their water main. Shorewood owns that water main. It's asbestos cement water main from the early to mid 1950s. We are going to abandon that line, which that supports our goal to get rid of AC pipe in the system. So that's what number one is referring to. Then that number two, it's pointing to two little blue areas. We're going to connect Shorewood into the city's existing water main network on 88th and 90th Avenues. Back in 2023, we replaced the water mains in that Madrona Crest neighborhood. They're all new 8-inch ductile iron lines. So we're going to connect Shorewood into two of them. They'll have two water meters that'll take the place of their single 10-inch water meter now. So they'll get the same supply of water, but it'll be via two water mains, which is actually an improvement to them from a single connection to the system. They will now have two, which will give them a little bit more redundancy and resiliency.
Is that I'll just ask Jason. So is that a new so Shorewood will now be taking water service from us?
Yes.
That's
a new source of revenue that we need to factor in, correct?
correct. So that will be a new source of revenue. So we're going to be working with Shorewood directly. We just got some data from SPU to evaluate the costs and the amount of revenue that went to SPU through their existing agreement they have with SPU. And so that'll be part of our work that we're doing now, is to look at that revenue stream and determine what the appropriate rate will be for the Shorewood Apartments with the new connection point.
Yeah, and we'll want to build that analysis into our rate discussion in the fall.
Correct.
Even though this is a couple years off. Well, it's a couple years off till they're being served by us. Is that right?
Yeah. So the way that's
Well,
actually a good point. That's a good point to bring up. So yeah, the way we're working through this is the SPU will continue to provide water as is until we're ready to make the switch, right? Which will be at the end of the process, the end of the construction project. So yeah, there's still a little bit of time of them being an SPU customer, but that gives us the time necessary to work out these details and include them in the rate models and move forward.
Okay, thank you.
So
Geraldine,
I have a quick question on that. I presume it's not only a revenue increase to us to have Shorewood, but I assume that we're going to have to pay for the water for Shorewood that we presumably didn't pay for prior to this, right? It was SPU water, and they didn't charge us for water that they were giving to Shorewood. Is that right?
Correct. In an ideal world, the water that's coming onto the island is charged back out to all the users. On the flip side, there's always a unaccounted water loss number that the city has to calculate and report to our regulatory agencies each and every year. If you remember correctly, with the recent memory, we just replaced all of our meters on the island because that unaccounted water loss number had exceeded the 3-year average requirement by Department of Health. That was one of the big drivers for it, and our meters were, north of 15 years in age, and they don't read as accurately. I will just say I'm happy to report, and I'm not sure if Alan's here tonight, but our number with the new meters deployed this year, our number for unaccounted water loss that we reported is 4.8%, which is a significant improvement on the unaccounted water loss. So getting back to your question, yes, more water will be coming through our system that will be considered city water. In the ideal world, that's all allocated back out and expensed out to the users on the back end. And we want to keep that number down to as low as possible so we don't have a high unaccounted water loss.
Right. And I guess my other point was we weren't paying for the water that Shorewood was using before, and now we will be paying for Shorewood's water that they're using, as well as whatever revenue we get from Shorewood's water.
Correct. That'll be
Yeah.
part of the reanalysis that we'll do. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's our status currently. We're entering the 90% design stage, and some things that we're dealing with at this point. We're finalizing pipe alignments. The contractor did another round of potholing of existing utilities. So based on that information, we are making some minor adjustments in our planned pipe routes to avoid some of those utilities. We're finalizing the roadway improvement layout. We know generally where the sidewalks are going to go, how much we're paving, where the lights are going to go, but we still need to get those lines on paper to get to that final layout version. We are still working through the details of those two connections to the Sherwood Apartments. Some of that work needs to occur on Sherwood's property, and we need a couple of easements for that work and some temporary access agreements. So Jason and I will be working with Shorewood here in the coming months for that. We still are figuring out the timing and activation for the new supply main. Once all that new 24-inch pipe is installed and tested, then we have to connect it at each end and disconnect SPU at each end. And we are still working through some of those details with SPU. We are figuring out construction sequencing and phasing and duration. We're pretty sure this is about a 2-year project. Again, first year is underground work. Second year is surface improvements. As far as sequencing goes, we know that the first thing we need to do is abandon that AC water main in Gallagher Hill because it conflicts with our 24-inch pipe. So that's the first phase of work that you will see, is that replace the small water main on Gallagher. Second phase will be installing the 24-inch water main on Gallagher Hill. We think our third bit of construction is installing the 24-inch water main along Southeast 36th. After that, then we would be in a position to do those connections. Traffic impacts during construction. You guys asked about that a few minutes ago. We are considering some things to try to reduce the number of days for construction and to reduce the impact to the driving public. When we do that, the small water main on Gallagher Hill, we will probably have a work zone with alternating one-way traffic, kind of the typical work zone that you guys have seen when you're out driving around. When we get to the 24-inch water main construction, that's a much bigger trench. That's bigger equipment. We're considering closing one lane of Gallagher Hill and doing a partial detour. What that would look like is that people trying to go down Gallagher Hill would be detoured down Mercerwood Drive to East Mercer Way. That would allow them to still make their way to the freeway interchange. People would still be allowed to drive up Gallagher Hill. That way, when they're coming off the freeway, they can continue on their normal route home. By closing the one lane, what that does for the construction is it gives the contractor complete control of that half of the road, they can dig and lay pipe much faster. Since that lane is closed, they don't have to spend time at the end of each work shift closing up their excavations so that traffic can then travel on it during the off time. We feel this will significantly shorten the amount of time it takes us to install that pipe. And we're targeting doing that one direction detour during July and August of this summer when school is out. When we get to the Southeast 36th portion of the supply main, we are considering doing some night work. We've got commercial buildings along some of that, which are vacant at night.
Yeah.
If we work at night, that means during the daytime, we're not tying up traffic as much. That also has the promise of maybe being a little bit faster as far as how much pipe they can install in a given week.
Clint, do I presume correctly that night work is also more expensive, that you're paying, I don't know, overtime or something?
It could be, but
I'm not arguing against it.
We're still exploring that with the contractor. We need to explore that with our own city permitting to see what's allowed. But it's an idea that we're gonna pursue and see if that pencils out. Does it speed up the project without costing us more money?
Right. And I think speeding up the project and night work, I mean, I think that makes perfect sense for that stretch of road.
Yes, but your comment has merit. We might be paying a little bit of a premium for night shift work. I don't know the answer to that. Another thing we're still working on is permitting, not only with our own city offices, but we need to get some permitting in place with the state DOT. Part of this pipeline is going to go through WashDOT controlled right of way. We need to get from the boat launch road through the intersection of East Mercer and 36th and back into city right of way, further to the west of that intersection. So that's taking some negotiations and discussions with WashDOT. But we feel that within several months we can get that agreed upon. We're going to be starting some public outreach here next month, getting the word out to the island about this upcoming project, the limits, how long it's going to take, what the driving public is going to see. And we're obviously coming to you tonight. We're going to come back to you next month. We're going to the council in April. Let's touch on the timeline a little bit. Since October, when we got 60% design plans in October, we're working our way towards those 90 and 100% design plans and specs. We feel that we can get there in April. We'd love to start construction in May on that first water main up Gallagher Hill. And again, water related stuff's probably going to take us through till next spring. At some point in the project, we will probably be finishing up water, but beginning road work. That's why you see a little bit of overlap there, that water's not done and roadway has started. Ideally, we hit the July, August, September 2027 timetable for doing our asphalt paving work. That would be the ideal time to do that. Of course, that's quite a ways out, and there's an awful lot of work to do between now and then. But it does look like by the end of 2027, we're substantially complete. We're probably doing some punch list items, but the transmission main is in service. The SPU line is abandoned. The roads are back open. Project costs at the 60% stage, it's looking like the utility part of this is on the order of 12.5 to 13.5 million. Now we're still resolving some design elements as we get to the 90 and 100% stages. And as those get sorted out and finalized, that will allow us to get our costs finalized. So I'm hoping that we get some cost refinement here in the next couple of months. We currently have 6 million in the 25-26 capital budget for this project. In the water fund bonds that were issued recently, there's 18 million available for this project. 13 million of that is scheduled for 2027. And we also received a little over $1 million in funding from the state through a Department of Commerce grant. So we are currently fully funded to do the work that we've been talking about here. And let's go into next steps as we wrap this up. Obviously, next step, we're going to complete the design work. That allows us to negotiate the maximum construction cost through the general contractor construction management method of delivery that we're using. We will advertise for that 10-inch main replacement as our first element of work. We're going to finalize our construction sequencing, keep working away on the SPU and Shorewood and WashDOT negotiations and agreements for the ownership and metering and those connections. We plan to return to you in a month to talk about this again. Hopefully I have some more news to report on what we've done over this next month, and whatever questions or concerns you folks have tonight, we can bring back answers for you in March. We're going to the city council in April to give them a very similar update to what you're hearing tonight. And if everything goes right, we will begin construction in May. That's all I had. I would welcome any questions you guys have. Anything you want to discuss further? If you want me to go back to a previous slide and explain
like
further, I can.
Geraldine has a question. Geraldine?
Thank you. May I ask a couple questions about the road work?
Sure.
And appreciate that you spend a lot of time with water, so I'm not sure if you're the right road person, but one question I had is what's proposed for the bicycle lane on Gallagher Hill? Because I heard you say it's only on the uphill side, so I wondered if that's a two-direction bike lane or if bikes would remain in or would ride in traffic downhill. And I think you said the sidewalk is on the downhill side.
Our current thinking is that bike riders could share the lane going downhill because they could maintain a higher speed.
Got it.
Uphill, obviously, it's steep, so
Right.
that's where they really need their own space because they're going to be pedaling slow or possibly walking it.
Perfect. I have some other questions, but would like other people on the board to go next if there are further questions.
Board members, other questions?
Clint, maybe you could stop sharing your screen so we
Oh.
can see the whole board. Perfect. Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
I
So
will do that.
I'll jump in with one set of questions and then we can go back to Geraldine or others. You did talk about, and I'm not sure it's for you, Clint, it might be for Jason or others, but you did talk about sort of the community outreach that it's planned. You noted that World Cup's coming, but that's a few week period here. It's really prior to when the things really get going in terms of construction. But given that this is happening in an area that's already seen a couple of years of activity with King County and the sewer project, and recent developments and delays associated with the King County sewer project, maybe even for Deputy Mayor Becker, I mean, I just want to be sensitive to the folks in that area about, the construction. And so how are we, or do we know yet how we're going to engage with them to let them know that we hear them, that they're tired of construction, even though this is an important project and totally support it. The island, we definitely need to move forward. I'm totally 100% supportive. I just want to be sensitive to them and sort of the construction exhaustion they're all facing after what essentially the mess that's gone through with King County, especially in light of what happened, I guess, yesterday or the day before with the sewage spill. So I hope we're putting a lot into the messaging so that they understand that we're concerned and serious about trying to minimize aspects of this as much as possible for them.
Yeah, so I will certainly say it's front of mind for us as we work through this process. Certainly, those residents in that construction zone have been significantly impacted over
Right.
not just a series of days and months, but years, right? And so we are sensitive to that. That is part of the reason why Clint and his team are looking at some alternative work schedules. We're trying to minimize those impacts. There will be a series of engagement opportunities with those residents through different sort of means, and we're fine-tuning what all those things may be. It could be door to door, it could be public meetings, it could be a combination of both. It's a form of different letters and distribution lists and things like that. We certainly want to be we want to hear from them and we want to work with them as much as possible. I think that is, in my time here, we haven't had an overnight project because of obviously the impact to the residences, residential areas. I think this project does provide an opportunity to maybe consider that. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but I think Clint and his team are working through that. They are definitely aware of it. We are aware of it. We want to hear from the community. We will create those different opportunities to hear from them because they have been significantly impacted. I'll also say you heard me say earlier on before Clint got on about the other impacts that are going to come down the road, right? This is a tough area. There's a lot of, I don't know, King County going through there. We have a project. There's possible some private development activity happening down in that area as well that we hear is a possibility. So we're trying to work around that as best as possible. And it's not just Clint, it's also an extension of the rest of the public works team and our community development and planning team as well, working in close proximity and working through that. There's no magic answer. We're going to have to hear from our residents and community and figure out what that looks like. And we will certainly be back in front of the board to talk about, what types of things we're going to apply and try, and would encourage your feedback and discussion on as well.
Yeah, I memean, once again, it's a substantial project, an important project, and a necessary project in my view. But I just want them to know that they're going to have opportunities to be heard, and we can explain and explain and explain to them everything we're doing to minimize the impact or to do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because it's quite a bit. It's a tall order for them to accept. So
Yeah, I mean, it's also, Clint talked about the construction window, the timing for it. We're trying to work around the school schedule. We're also, that Gallagher Hill stretch tends to be problematic during the peak morning hours in particular. And so, we are working around as best as possible and trying to minimize those impacts while still getting the work done. It's a challenge for sure.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Becker?
Yeah, my question is actually sort of related to what you were just saying. I understand. On the calendar, you're showing basically an 18-month construction window approximately. You said the full lane, you anticipate a full lane closure for approximately 2 months during the summer. I was just wondering how long you expect during that 18-month period we're going to have partial closures with flaggers or whatever. I don't know how much of the window is actual closure versus the odds and ends where there's work, but there's no closures.
That's a good question. The work on Southeast 40th is probably going to be one lane closures with alternating traffic. Southeast 36th, depending on how we are able to fine tune that alignment, we're trying to keep two lane. Southeast 36th is a 3-lane configuration with a center turn lane. We're trying to stay in one lane with our construction so that we can have 2 lanes open for traffic. That's also an area where maybe night work is a way to reduce impacts to the that morning commute and that evening come home. When our route, our proposed route through the Southeast 36th East Mercer Way traffic signal intersection is that we would skirt that intersection by running the supply pipeline under the sidewalk. It's a separated sidewalk on that south and west side of the intersection, such that we could be in there working, running our pipe, and the signalized intersection is still functioning.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of the time during this window, we're going to have full lanes in both directions in the majority of the areas. And so like it's just you're going to be working on one area, so there might be an impact in one area, but the rest of the system will be fine. And in some of these times, there won't be any full closures.
That's correct. Our approach to this project is to work in different zones and to not have it torn up from the boat launch to the top of Gallagher Hill all at once.
Okay.
I will say though, it will be an alternative lane arrangement, right? So it's not your standard 3-lane range. So I mean, it's something. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand some of those lane configurations, and we'll make sure that we freshen stuff up and are responsive and listen to the community. I'll also say a big component of the impacts in specific a project like this is your laydown space for all this material, right? You have some big sections of pipe, a lot of material to move. So I won't get into the details of what we're looking at, but there are some ideas being floated around and looked at by our design team and construction team to figure out where that may or may not be, to minimize the impact in the right of way, right? So again, even though it may be blocked off and may be coned off, even having something on the shoulder can sometimes pinch roadways, pinch the lane widths, be a distraction for people. So we're trying to be mindful of that and be strategic about where those locations or key location may be in relation to this project. So it's something that's part of the consideration. It's not maybe something that everyone thinks about, but you're talking 24-inch pipe, 10-inch ductile iron pipe, quite a bit of equipment. And I mean, it can be for a little kid who likes tractors and equipment, it's a dream come true. But for the community who has to go through it, it can be very challenging and problematic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Other questions, board members?
No, but I did want to thank Clint. He did a nice job with the presentation. I appreciate his time.
Thank you. You're
Very
welcome.
thorough.
Very well done. Thanks, Clint.
And the questions I had hanging out actually were asked by other people, so thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. George.
I wonder, are we expecting to have any pushback from the Shorewood Apartments? I understand that they own a portion of that water main, and they're going to be better off reliability-wise with the city's improvements. But have we gotten any hint that they're going to try to put the squeeze on us? Or are they going to go along and say, okay, we understand we're better off and we'll let it go at that?
We haven't heard that they're going to put the squeeze on us. I'm hopeful and optimistic that it's going to be a win-win for them as a win-win for us. They're definitely getting some infrastructure improvements, out of the deal. They're getting some additional reliability and redundancy associated to it. I don't know how the rate's going to break down. I haven't compared the rate analysis that they were being charged by SPU versus what our rates, our commercial rates, or possibly what our rates will look like. So that's a body of work that we still have to do, and obviously that will have an impact on things. So when we know more, we'll let you know. Our plan is to start meeting with Shorewood in um, the next month or two. We're brokering that sort of first initial discussion with SPU as we sort of hand it off. We get the handoff from them because they are technically a client of SPU, so we're trying to be mindful of that relationship. But so certainly something they're working through in the coming months.
Thank you.
Steve.
Yeah, just to clarify, so is that, did I hear you correct that the Mercer Wood is a single client? It's not individual customer meters, they're a single client for SPU now?
Shorewood
Correct.
Apartments, yes.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members, before we let Clint go? All right, thank you very much, Clint and team, for putting this together. It was very informative, and we look forward to continued engagement.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Next on the agenda is under other business is the staff liaison report. Jason, is that you?
That's me. You just can't hear me talk. No, a couple quick updates. So welcome, Deputy Mayor Becker. Just so the board is aware, Wendy Weicker is our usual staff liaison to the utility board that was appointed. She was appointed by the mayor and deputy mayor and the council earlier this year. However, given her workload and her job that she does outside of being a council member and the relationship to the solid waste industry and the fact that the utility board has a solid waste contract to start being discussed in the near future, we thought it was wise to appoint a backup to Wendy when she can't attend or as we start engaging in some of those solid waste contracts. So Deputy Mayor Becker is going to join us. We're going to make sure he gets all the information, and we welcome him with open arms, and it should be great. Wendy had a conflict tonight, so Daniel stepped in and off we go. So there's part one. Part two is in follow up to the board's request last month about having King County come provide an update on their project. I'm happy to report that we were successful, and we have got them coming to the next board meeting. So the March board meeting, it will be a Zoom format. They did ask for, it's easier for them to attend if they can do it remotely, which is perfectly fine. But they will be here in March at our March meeting. We'll probably put them first on the agenda, just to be mindful of their time. So I plan on meeting with their staff ahead of the meeting. I'll talk to Chair Thomas and Vice Chair Milton about what it looks like, and if we have a PowerPoint to share with the group ahead of time, we'll include that as part of the meeting agenda. But just so you know, we did confirm that they are coming in March. And then finally, I sent an email to the board and the council earlier this evening about the King County sewage overflow that happened this last weekend. This is it's a county system. It's their overflow. Unfortunately, it happens from time to time. I don't know the specific details yet on it. I know they are working with Department of Health and Ecology. They're following all the proper protocols. We have mimicked information and communication on our public media accounts. We haven't heard a lot of feedback from the community on it. Luckily, it's February. It's not necessarily a lot of beach activity weather at this time, but signs are posted, and they'll be posted until they're told to take them down by King County Health.
Did you say you sent out an update?
Yeah, I sent it to you just before the meeting started. I forwarded just sort of the background details on it, what the volume of overflows and things. It's to your city email addresses, though, not to your private email addresses.
That's where I am. I didn't get
I
it.
didn't see it either.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's okay. I appreciate it, but I really appreciate it. Just one, I'll read it whenever it comes, but just one question. Was the failure that occurred that led to the overflow entirely within their system?
yes.
So the city is it's not some interaction between us and them at some handoff or anything like that. It was purely related to their project.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, and I was going to ask you to do a little update about that. So thank you. Is there a way without pointing figures, but to make it very clear to those residents that this isn't a Mercer Island Utilities issue, that this is a King County issue. And even if it's a kind of no fault issue, that it's it's their no fault and not our no fault. I mean, because they've also been dealing with all of that construction there for forever. And so I'm just wondering about the messaging on that so that so
Yeah, so we can work with I can work with David about that messaging. You know, it can be a little tricky. I understand the sentiment behind it. It is a county issue. We haven't heard a bunch of backlash from the community about, hey, why is this happening? This is a city issue. It's not ours. Certainly, if that came about, we would certainly be quick to say, hey, remind you all this is a county issue. And there is that information in the media posts. At the same time, the county they are a partner, so we want to tread a little bit carefully about maintaining a good relationship with them. It's an unfortunate situation. We want to help them just as they would help us in overflow situations. But the messaging does say it is a county. It is pretty specific that says it's county infrastructure, not city infrastructure.
Okay.
It appears that I forgot to attach you guys to the email, so I'll forward it all to you now. So thank you for saying you didn't get it. My apologies.
No problem.
yeah, nice try, Jason. No.
Yeah. I thought
I
maybe.
believe that's it for me, unless there's any other additional specific questions.
No, I just assumed that you sent it to everybody else but me, which I was going to deal with offline, but
Always.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Great. Thank you. Any other items we need to discuss tonight? Anybody? We were talking informally beforehand. I do like the idea of getting together just for coffee to not discuss utility matters, just to get to know each other a little bit better. So we'll do some follow up on that and comply with the. Anyway,
At the time, yeah.
yeah. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there
I'll
a
second
second?
it.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the February 10th, 2026 Utility Board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening, and go celebrate the Seahawks tomorrow at the parade or whatever, however you want to do it. So
But don't drive
Yeah.
there.
don't drive there. That's correct.
Don't drive there. Yeah. Jason, thanks very much. I know that was a lot of stuff you guys had to tell us tonight. So, and I'll
Well,
actually look forward to seeing your email because I did want to know a little bit more than what was in the public stuff and thought we should know a
Yes.
little bit more.
It's in your inbox, and reach out if you guys have any questions. Happy to talk about it further. And thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, Phil.
All right.
Thank
Bye bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.